This is one of the greatest examples I've ever seen in anime and manga, where the anime took something from the manga that almost nobody liked. People couldn't even understand it. It came across as BS, and it was just like, what the fuck did I read? And took that content, made it make sense, gave you feels, turned the character's perspective around and everyone's perspective on the character, and ultimately just did a 180 on the feeling of this content. Because this episode, I mean, it's like night and day, literally, how I felt about this episode compared to how I felt about the chapters that were, adapted from with this content. Let's go. If you look at a big portion of this episode, majority of it is, while there's, dialogue from everyone, there's Naruto kind of trying to lecture Obito, there's a lot of people talking to him. A big chunk of this is the inner struggle within Obito after seeing everyone together, after seeing these happy people, ultimately still fighting with himself. Did I make the right decision? And the thing in the dream state world, while it still comes across a little bit as like, what the fuck exactly happened? Ultimately, one of the big things about it is that this was Obito's inner struggle. This was his inner turmoil on the decisions that he had made up till now. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was still fucking hyped when he grabbed Naruto by the neck. I was like, I don't fucking regret everything. I was like, Obito, like, that's some fucking bullshit right there. And when he hit him, while it still felt a little bit like you should have just stuck on your path, ultimately, that wasn't that like Naruto put him into a genjutsu or he mind fucked him. Ultimately, that was yet again him seeing an example of what he ultimately wanted. He basically mind-fucked himself in a sense. It wasn't that Naruto did anything necessarily other than talk to him. It was that he once again envisioned his life and ultimately what he's basically been going after in this path of basically nothingness. It's basically himself talking to himself. Because if you pay attention, prior to that event, Naruto was like, then stop envisioning yourself being Hokage. And then that's when he starts having the, yet again, illusions and him thinking to himself, this is what I wanted, and this is what I've been going after this entire time. So definitely, a lot of this was inner struggle with him, and it makes just so much more sense and made it so much more sympathetic. The anime, the fillers that they've done up till now, like the Kakashi Anbu arc filler, and a lot of the little things that they've been putting in there, while, yeah, it has slowed down a few episodes, and yeah, nobody ideally wants filler, ultimately, it helped to pad out this character, in particular, Obito, that all of us wanted to strangle. I remember reading these chapters and not being too pleased, to be honest with you. I remember like just being like, oh my god. Again, they changed to the point where like the way they made it and gave the perspective on it. That scene, I remember the manga where he had his hand at the sky and said Rin. While still, if you want to be, have a laugh about it, I guess you can, like, oh, Rin, the hand, ha ha ha. But if you look at it, it just felt a lot more sympathetic with this, with the music, and just kind of understanding that he just regrets everything, and it's like, fuck, I fucked up. And yeah, it still stands that it is a little way too extreme to do this over Rin, and him constantly talking about Rin, yeah, definitely, it feels a little bit like, okay, this was all over Rin, but at the end of the day, it just showcases that you make fucked up decisions in life, and he made a huge one. And the anime, again, I mean, the anime saved the manga big time with how they presented this material. And there was actually a couple subtle messages in this one if you really look closely at it. There was quite a few. For starters, it's always better to live in reality than live in a lie. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, sometimes reality might be shit, but you gotta stick it out. You can't just live in a lie because you end up crazy. Another one is you actually need people in this world. You can't always be on fuck the world, all I have is myself. As much as sometimes you want to feel that way, you do need people. People are what keep you grounded, and that's the difference between Kakashi and Obito. While Obito, all he had was basically an ideal that Madara left behind and left him rummaging the world pretending to be Madara, Kakashi had people of belief saying, Kakashi, come back, don't do this. Have dumplings with me. Literally, if you watch the Anbu fillers with Guy constantly every single day, Kakashi, come have dumplings with us. So that just showcases the difference. You cannot think that you can do it all by yourself, because you can't. And last but not least, one of the messages I definitely felt is when you stray from your path, a lot of times you can become a batshit crazy nut job, like what ultimately Obito became. Major progression. Jubito defeated. Obito got the Jubi extracted from him. Definitely would have liked a lot more of ferocious combat when he was in the Jubi state for the most part. It felt pretty brief, especially the way the anime kind of sped through this material. The manga, we had quite a few chapters of him in this state, but the anime, it was like, what, maybe, I want to say about, I don't know, 10 or so maybe episodes of him. So, felt pretty fast-paced, to be honest with you, but we got major progression in a sense as well with them defeating him. And again, just connects with everything, with the messages, the dreamlike state, and everything. It just felt like it was a lot more cohesive in the anime and overall just sensible. Honestly, one of my favorite bits, and if you look closely at it, you kind of get a little eye-opener, is that when Obito was defeated on the ground, Sasuke went running to him to kill him. Like, no, we gotta extract him. We gotta get fuck that shit. He needs to die. And you gotta think to yourself for a second. This is the same guy that just said not that long ago, I'm going to become Hokage. And yet he's rushing to kill someone after they've been defeated when everyone else is like, no, you know, stop, what are you doing? Think about that. And then Kakashi came back to kill him, so not the greatest example of all time for one of your students. And also, if you want to have a laugh about it, it's kind of like Kakashi comes back at the last moment on some, I know I've been AFK for a while, but do you mind if I get that kill, mate? And then having the teacher Minato there yet again giving one final lesson to his students. It's just all wrapped very well, and I think the way they adapted this material, having quite a few different chapters in this one, it felt more gelled together. Again, I feel the anime just took this material and just ran with it, and they did a great job. And it's always going to make you wonder, had Minato not fucked up those few times, not being there to save Ren and not being there to save Obito, would things be different? I think they'd be dramatically different. So everyone is kicking themselves in one sense or another. Kakashi's like, I couldn't save my friends. Minato's like, I couldn't save my students. Obito's like, I couldn't save Ren, and what the fuck have I done? Everyone had some sort of moral consequence in all of this. The ending of the episode definitely was building up like, Naruto's awesome, and here's why, Obito. It kind of felt in a way like, Obito, who you are right now is shit. Naruto's awesome. Take notes. But in all honesty, I ain't gonna lie, with this episode, I laughed with certain bits when Guy was like, yeah, we defeated him! You know, Guy Sensei just has this funny aura to him. I laughed there. I ain't gonna lie, I got a little bit of them feels and sentimental. I was close to getting a little teary-eyed with some of these scenes, which really made Obito seem a lot more of a better character, a lot more of a better, I wouldn't say villain necessarily, because at the end of the day, he still did all of this over, you know, simply Rin. So you can't really say villain, but just a better character in general, more fleshed out, a little bit more complex than simply, I wanted revenge. It just felt a little bit more like him fighting his own demons and his regrets and everything. And even a fucking setup at the end with Naruto chasing after Madara with Sasuke shortly behind him. It's like, this episode did a great job. I can't stress it enough, in all honesty, to give this one a 9 out of 10. Aside from a little bit of recap that we got in this one, and a couple extra flashbacks, which helped to make the content stand better. Anyways, ultimately, this felt like a great episode, and Studio Pierrot, I don't know how you did it, how you managed to make this content way more likable, way more enjoyable, and overall just a better product. But you did a great job, and I gotta give you 2 fucking thumbs up for that one. Because I ain't gonna lie, at this portion of the manga, I was to the point where, like, really, can we just get this fucking worthless shit over with already? And now you made me almost cry. Good job. But let me know what you thought of this content. Anime-only viewers, how did you feel about this? Did you feel a little bit sentimental regarding some of the characters and what they've been through and kind of just connecting everything, seeing Obito's regrets? For manga readers now watching this, do you feel as though, definitely, I mean, if you don't feel as though, I mean, come on, you gotta admit at the very least that they did make it a lot more likable and a lot more sensible of how things went. And your overall thoughts of the episode? Great episode. I'm so glad I can say that, because I was scared coming into this episode, like, I don't want to rant right now, but they did it. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that'd be awesome. I'm for that world, and as always, people, have an awesome day.